Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're continuing with the Met Gala series. So today we're going to be talking about the galas that happened in the 2010s and talking a little bit about what everyone wore and pop culture surrounding it and all of that good stuff. To watch the previous videos in this series, do subscribe and go and watch my previous videos. They're all on there. So starting off, jumping straight into it, 2010. In 2010 we had the release of Teenage Dream by Katy Perry. Lady Gaga wore the infamous meat dress, and I hear you all asking what was going on in my life. In my life, I was 12 years old and One Direction had just been created. And then May the 3rd, 2010, we had the theme American Woman, fashioning a national identity. And this is the first year that we see the post in a performance, which is obviously quite a big deal nowadays. But this year is the first year that we see that, so quite a recent development. And the first performer was Lady Gaga. For anyone that doesn't know or hasn't watched the previous videos yet, UAL have this great resource called Exhibit in Fashion. So basically it's just a great resource that documents all the different exhibitions that have happened throughout the years, going quite far back. And if they do have any photos or any information or any kind of blurbs that were written by the curators, that's on there as well. So for American Woman, we had American Woman Fashioning a National Identity is the first Costume Institute exhibition drawn from the newly established Brooklyn Museum costume collection at the Met. It explores developing perceptions of the modern American woman from 1890 to 1940 and how they have affected the way American women are seen today. Focusing on archetypes of American femininity through dress, the exhibition reveals how the American woman initiated style revolutions that mirrored her social, political and sexual emancipation. Gibson Girls, Bohemians and Screen Sirens, among others, help lay the foundation for today's American woman. I do have my notes in case I am looking down, that's what I am looking at. So guests included Emma Watson wearing William Tempest, wearing this gorgeous white one-shoulder ruffle detailed dress with a leg slit. We had Katy Perry in a light up dress by Cute Circuit. So this dress obviously lit up. It's kind of a very drapey, looks like it's be some kind of chiffon pink and white dress. Demi Moore in Tom Brown in this silver, I think it's strapless or one shouldered, I can't really see that shoulder, dress with the leg slit. Gwen Stefani wearing Moschino. I do really like this dress with kind of the drape and the black undergarment. And then Taylor Swift wearing this very flowy kind of boho almost looking dress. And then in 2011 Beyonce had just announced her pregnancy and Kim Kardashian had her famous 72-day wedding. And then May the 2nd was the Met Gala, which was Alexander McQueen, Savage Beauty. So the co-chair was Anna Wintour, Colin Firth, Stella McCartney, and honorary chair Francois Henry Pinault and Salem Hayek, with sponsor Alexander McQueen. The performance this year was by Florence and the Machine. The exhibition, organised by the Costume Institute, celebrated the late Alexander McQueen's extraordinary contributions to fashion, from his Central St. Martin's postgraduate collection of 1992 to his final runway presentation, which took place after his death in February 2010. Mr. McQueen challenged and expanded the understanding of fashion beyond utility to conceptual expression of culture, politics and identity. His iconic designs constitute the work of an artist whose medium of expression was fashion. The exhibition featured approximately 100 ensembles and 70 accessories from McQueen's prolific 19-year career, drawn primarily from the Alexander McQueen Archive in London, with some pieces from the Givenchy Archive in Paris, as well as private collections. Signature designs, including the bumpster trouser, the kimono jacket and the three-point origami frock coat, were on view. McQueen's fashions often reference the exaggerated silhouettes of the 1860s, 1880s, 1890s and 1950s, but his technical ingenuity always imbued his designs with innovative sensibility that kept him at the vanguard. Guests this gala included Karl Lagerfeld with Blake Lively wearing this kind of really draped, almost like a kind of goddess kind of style is what it reminds me of, with the highly structured kind of undergarments underneath. Kristen Stewart, so again this is kind of vampire years, wearing this pretty simple red and black dress by Proenza Shaula. Rihanna wearing Stella McCartney a pretty much classic kind of dress, black lacy detailing with this kind of a scalloped neckline. Taylor Swift wearing J. Mendel. What's really interesting about this dress, and I don't know if it's from this dress or another dress, but it almost seems to be fraying on the carpet. I do quite like a frayed edge myself. We had Jay-Z and Beyonce. Beyonce wearing Emilio Pucci. Alicia Keys wearing Givenchy. And I really do like this jacket she's wearing, almost like a crocodile style skin. And then in 2012, Gangnam Style went viral. There was the release of the Hunger Games series, and my favourite One Direction album, Take Me Home, was released. May 7th was the Met Gala this year, and it was Schiaparelli and Prada, Impossible Conversations, with co-chair Anna Wintour, Carey Mulligan, Miuccio Prada, honorary chair Jeff Bezos, and sponsor Amazon. The performer this year was Bruno Mars, and this was also Donald Trump's last appearance, as he was later on banned by Anna Wintour from attending. The Met's Spring 2012 Costume Institute exhibition Schiaparelli and Prada Impossible Conversations explores the striking affinities between Elsa Schiaparelli and Miuccio Prada, two Italian designers from different eras. Inspired by Miguel Covarrubia's impossible interviews for Vanity Fair in the 1930s, the exhibition features orchestrated conversations between these iconic women to suggest new readings of their most innovative work. Iconic ensembles are presented with videos of simulated conversations with Schiaparelli and Prada, directed by Baz Luhrmann, focusing on how women explore similar themes in their work through very different approaches. So this year we saw Rihanna wearing Alea, again that kind of almost crocodile alligator skin style dress. Beyonce wearing a very typical naked dress, which I really like. I love the feathers going down the bottom there, and this was by Givenchy. Lana Del Rey wearing Joseph Altuzarra. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Chainmail. It's really interesting, the kind of silver dress with the black cape over the top. Kristen Stewart wearing Balenciaga. Solange wearing Rachel Roy. Brooke Shields wearing J. Mendel, which I also really like the fact that she was walking the carpet with a mobility aid. Sorry Justice wearing Alexander McQueen, so I believe this was peak Victorious time. I was a massive fan of Victorious when I was younger. 2013 was a big year for pop culture, so we had Miley Cyrus's VMA performance, Jennifer Lawrence fell over at the Oscars, the Harlem Shake went viral, and Beyonce changed the game with the digital drop of the surprise album, Beyonce. And then May the 6th, the gala took place with Punk Chaos to Couture. Co-chairs were Anna Wintour, Rooney Mara, Lauren Santo Domingo, Ricardo Tisci, and honorary chair Beyonce, with sponsor Modus Operandi and performance by Kanye West. The Met's Spring 2013 Costume Institute exhibition Punk Chaos to Couture examines punk's impacts on high fashion from the movement's birth in early 1970s through its continuing influence today, featuring approximately 100 designs for men and women. The exhibition includes original punk garments and recent directional fashion to illustrate how haute couture and ready-to-wear borrow punk's visual symbols. So yes, this gala included Beyonce wearing this gorgeous black and gold Givenchy dress, Anne Hathaway wearing Valentino, again a gorgeous dress. I really kind of like the chest peeking out there and the feathers on the end. This iconic, whether you like it, whether you hate it, it was iconic. Kim Kardashian wearing Givenchy, Nicki Minaj wearing Tommy Hilfiger, Miley Cyrus and Marc Jacobs, Rita Ora wearing Thacoon, Taylor Swift again wearing J. Mendel. 2014, Kim Kardashian attempted to break the internet with the Paper magazine cover. We had the Ice Bucket Challenge that went viral, and the release of Anaconda by Nicki Minaj. Then May the 5th, 2014, we had Charles James Beyond Fashion with co-chair Erin Lauder, Anna Wintour, Bradley Cooper, Oscar de la Renta, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Lizzie and Jonathan Tish, with sponsor being Erin and performance by Frank Ocean. This seemed to be quite a dramatic gala, so I found that there was a lot of talk going on around white tie and how difficult and how expensive white tie is to produce these days. There was also a streaker that was caught before they managed to get up the stairs, which was then followed up by the elevator situation. The inaugural exhibition of the newly renovated Costume Institute examines the career of legendary 20th century Anglo-American couture Charles James, 1906 to 1978 and is presented in 2 locations: exhibition galleries in the museum's first floor and the Costume Institute's Anna Wintour Costume Centre on the ground floor. It explores James' design process, specifically his use of sculptural, scientific and mathematical approaches to construct revolutionary ball gowns and innovative tailoring that continues to influence designers today. The retrospective features approximately 65 of the most notable designs James produced over the course of his career from the 1920s until his death in 1978. The guests this gala included Jay-Z and Beyonce, both wearing Givenchy, Taylor Swift wearing Oscar de la Renta, Rihanna wearing Stella McCartney, Naomi Campbell wearing Givenchy, Rita Ora wearing Donna Karan. Special mention to Kirsten Dunst wearing this Rodarte dress. 2015, was the dress blue and black or was it gold and white? I saw both. It was blue and black the first time, and then after that I never saw it as blue and black again. And Direction's hearts broke everywhere when Zayn decided to leave One Direction. I know, I'm sorry for bringing that up. And then May the 4th, we had China Through the Looking Glass with co-chair Anna Wintour, Jennifer Lawrence, Gong Li, Marissa Mayer and Wendy Murdoch, with honorary chair Silash Chow and sponsor Yahoo, and performance by Rihanna. This year had a bit of controversy because the original name was Chinese Whispers Tales of the East in Art, Film and Fashion, and was renamed China Through the Looking Glass after critics pointed out the institutionalised kind of racism around Chinese Whispers. This gala was also filmed behind the scenes for a film called The First Monday in May. It was on Netflix, I'm not sure if it is anymore. I remember watching this when it first came out, and this is kind of when I started getting into the Met Gala. I do highly recommend it if you haven't seen it before. And then from what I can find, this year was the first year where the no selfie rule was kind of implemented, and has carried on since then, which has ended up being almost one of the most iconic bits of the Met Gala, is when you see all the celebrity selfies that they took. This exhibition explores the impacts of Chinese aesthetics on Western fashion and how China has ruled the fashionable imagination for centuries. In this collaboration between the Costume Institute and Department of Asian Art, high fashion is juxtaposed with Chinese costumes, paintings, porcelains and other art, including films to reveal enchanting reflections of Chinese imagery. So guests to this gala included Beyonce wearing Givenchy, Lady Gaga wearing Alexander Wang, Katy Perry wearing Moschino, Solange Knowles wearing Giles Deacon, Anne Hathaway wearing Ralph Lauren, an iconic Zendaya look for her first Met Gala wearing Fasto Puglisi, and then obviously the iconic Rihanna wearing this iconic dress of hers by Yoke. 2016 unfortunately fetched the death of Harambe, but the birth of Pokemon Go, the last time any of us got any proper exercise, and Beyonce released Lemonade. And then May the 2nd we had Manus Ex Machina, fashion in an age of technology, which I felt was a really interesting theme, and a lot of celebrities very much let the fashion side down with this. Co-chair Anna Wintour, Taylor Swift, Idris Elba, honorary chair Nicholas Gesquire, Karl Lagerfeld, Miuccio Prada, and sponsor Apple and performance by The Weeknd. With more than 170 ensembles dating from the early 20th century to the present, the exhibition addresses the founding of the haute couture in the 19th century, when the sewing machine was invented, and emergence of a distinction between the hand, manus, and the machine, machina, at the onset of mass production. It explores this ongoing dichotomy in which hand and machine are presented as discordant tools in the creative process, and questions the relationship and distinction between haute couture and ready-to-wear. This was one of Bleach Ella's very rare appearances. So we had Taylor Swift wearing Louis Vuitton, Beyonce wearing Givenchy, again wearing this gorgeous PVC gown, Kim Kardashian wearing Balmain, Nicki Minaj wearing Moschino, Lady Gaga wearing Versace, Madonna wearing an iconic outfit by Givenchy. We then had Zayn Malik wearing Versace and Gigi Hadid wearing Tommy Hilfiger. 2017 we had the release of Logan and Riverdale, which obviously became a massive hit before it kind of went off the path a little bit. The Met Gala this year took place on May the 1st, and it was Ray Kawakubo, Comme des Garçons, Art of the In-Between. So we had co-chairs Anna Wintour, Giselle Bundchen, Tom Brady, Katy Perry, Pharrell Williams, honorary co-chair Ray Kawakubo, sponsors being, and we had quite a few sponsors this year, Apple, Condé Nast, Farfetch, H&M and Mason Valentino, and performance by Katy Perry. Now the year before there was pictures of Bella Hadid smoking a cigarette in the bathroom, so this year smoking was prohibited, which I'm surprised it hadn't already been prohibited, to be honest. The Costume Institute's Spring 2017 exhibition examines the work of fashion designer Rei Kawakubo, known for her avant-garde designs and ability to challenge conventional notions of beauty, good taste and fashionability. The thematic show features approximately 140 examples of Kawakubo's women's wear for Comme des Garçons, dating from the early 1980s to her most recent collection, with many heads and wigs created and styled by Julian Dice. So this year we had Kim Kardashian wearing Vivienne Westwood, Rihanna wearing Comme des Garçons, Gigi Hadid wearing Tommy Hilfiger, Zoe Kravitz wearing Oscar de la Renta, Nicki Minaj wearing H&M, Halle Berry wearing Versace, Zendaya wearing Dolce & Gabbana, and then I think this is probably my favourite Kylie Jenner look, Met Gala look, by Versace. 2018, this is a very Marvel year with the release of Black Panther and Infinity War, and then Beyonce made Coachella history. And May the 7th we had Heavenly Bodies, Fashion in the Catholic Imagination. Again, this is another one of my favourite ones. I think people really kind of came up with creative ideas for this one. We had co-chair Anna Wintour, Rihanna, Amal Clooney, Donatella Versace, honorary chair Christine and Stephen A. Schwarzman, sponsors Christine and Stephen A. Schwarzman and Versace, and a performance by Madonna, which I feel like was so appropriate. I feel like you couldn't have had anybody else performing. Rihanna caused a little bit of controversy this year by dressing as the Pope, which probably my favourite Rihanna look for the Met Gala. However, and people called her blasphemous, but the Catholic Church themselves had donated multiple items from the Vatican for the exhibition. I have so many of my favourite looks come from this gala. So Heavenly Bodies features the work of designers who for the most part were raised in Roman Catholic tradition, while their current relationships to Catholicism vary, most acknowledge its endurance influence on their imaginations. On the surface, this influence is expressed through explicit Catholic imagery and symbolism, as well as references to specific garments worn by the clergy and religious orders. On a deeper level, it manifests as a reliance on storytelling and specifically on metaphor, which sociologist Andrew Greeley describes as the essential characteristic of a particular sensibility he defines as the Catholic imagination. All of these are probably like my favourite looks ever. So we had Blake Lively in Versace, Rihanna in Margiela, Kim Kardashian in Versace, and I'm pretty sure if you go back, I think it was Cher who wore this dress but in black. Cardi B, probably one of my favourite Cardi B looks in Moschino. Zendaya, this is probably one of if not my most favourite Zendaya look. Wearing Versace, going for that Joan of Arc kind of look. Chadwick Boseman in Versace, again probably one of my favourite male looks from the Met Gala. Ariana Grande in Vera Wang, again this one is probably one of my favourite Ariana Grande looks. And then last but not least, 2019, Beyonce released Homecoming, Old Town Road was played on the radio, and the Fire documentary came out, which I cannot believe that was in 2019. I could have sworn that was like 2 years ago. And this year's theme was Camp Notes on Fashion, again another iconic Met Gala. Co-chairs were Anna Wintour, Lady Gaga, Harry Styles, Serena Williams, Alessandro Michele, and sponsor was Gucci, with a performance by Cher, again so incredibly appropriate for this gala. I'm probably now gonna, as I'm having a scroll through, gonna end up going back on so many of my favourite looks and changing it here. Through more than 250 objects dating from the 17th century to the present, the Costume Institute's Spring 2019 exhibition explores the origins of camp's exuberant aesthetic. Susan Sontag's 1964 essay Notes on Camp provides the framework for the exhibition, which examines how the elements of irony, humour, parody, pastiche, artifice, theatricality and exaggeration are expressed in fashion. Guests included Zendaya wearing Tommy Hilfiger in this Cinderella style inspired dress that lit up, with Laura Roach in the back there dressed as the fairy godmother, which I just thought was iconic is the only word. Cardi B and Tom Brown, which I actually think this might actually be my favourite Cardi B look now that I'm having another look at it. Kim Kardashian wearing Thierry Mugler. Again, this is very much considered another iconic look. It's probably one of my favourite Kim Kardashian looks. Casey Musgraves wearing Moschino. So the whole idea behind this was that she was Barbie. Harry Styles in Gucci. This is probably one of my favourite Kylie Jenner looks, wearing Versace, and then her and Kendall kind of went matching, again with Kendall wearing Versace. And then we obviously had the iconic, what can only be described as a performance piece by Lady Gaga in Brandon Maxwell, when she dressed down on the carpet into multiple looks. Charlie XCX went to this Met Gala wearing Jean-Paul Gaultier, Katy Perry in Moschino in that iconic chandelier outfit. And since everyone was very much in their Riverdale era at this point, there were so many Riverdale faces at this gala. So my favourite was probably Madeleine Petsch wearing Jimmy Choo. I just love a structured garment. And that brings us to the end of this chapter. Do subscribe, it is free and it helps me out. Follow me online, that'll all be down below. The next video will be the last video in this series before I then move on to something else. That'll be looking at the 2020 Met Galas. Do hang around for that. I'm now going to go because my laundry machine is going to get very loud.